Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm afraid I don't have any slides for you. I'm not very technically competent. I do have a few notes. I'm not going to say... Thank you. I'm not going to say anything about bottled water apart from two things. The first is I looked into bottling water about 25 years ago. And at that time, the supermarkets were selling not one or two, but three different varieties of bottled water: Highland, Malvern, and Perrier. And I couldn't possibly see how there was room for any more bottled water on the shelf. How wrong could I be? The other thing that caught my mind the other day was how extraordinarily clever it is to market water. When you think about it, there isn't really very much in it. And there was an American advertisement for bottled water that simply said, "Now with twice the hydrogen." And I thought that was rather good. What I'm going to talk to you about in the next few minutes is how I'm hoping to set up a micro dairy on my farm. And I want to do that for two reasons. The first reason is to follow Rob Richmond, who spoke to us this morning and who's been pioneering herbal leys with dairy cows and repairing damaged soils. My soils aren't good. I've been organic since 2006, and I have a fairly strict rotation, but I'm still struggling with fertility, soil structure, and particularly weeds. So that's my first interest in introducing a small dairy. My second, which is probably a stronger incentive, is to provide an opportunity for a young farmer as a sort of starter unit for a young farmer. And I think we all know that there are real challenges in British agriculture in providing opportunities for young farmers. And the problem is twofold, really, threefold perhaps. One is the availability of land. Most landowners are reluctant to let to young farmers because they don't have the capital or the expertise. And so providing an opportunity that doesn't require too much land or capital seems to me to be the right way forward. So a little bit of background. I farm about 800 acres on the Quantock Hills, all under HLS, mostly permanent pasture and pretty droughty, even though it's Somerset. We are fairly droughty. But I do have some flat arable land, which is where I grow some arable crops and graze sheep on a 4-year lay, 3-year arable rotation. And I can see a micro dairy fitting into that farming system quite well, simply because it's mobile. And like with my sheep and my 4-year lays, it could be moved around the farm. So I'm looking for a small herd of small cows. I don't know anything about dairy farming, but there are many people who do. Most of you will know a lot more than I do. I take the view small cows are far more efficient than big ones, and they do less soil damage. High quality, high value milk, retailing obviously, and milk off pasture. It's all very simple, and it's all really common sense, I suppose. What are the resources? Land, it's not a problem. Water, electric fencing, not a problem. Mobile milking bale at a price, yeah. Processing plant and equipment, that is quite expensive. A few cows, and someone to do it. Finding the right personal persons, and then deciding on some sort of operating structure. It could be a partnership, it could be a share farming agreement, possibly even a farm business tenancy. I doubt a farm business tenancy because it's rather inflexible. Financing is a consideration. I've been given some figures for starting up a micro dairy. which to me is actually quite a lot of money, but actually in terms of modern day farming it isn't, I suppose. Processing plant about 28,000 and a milking bale of 10, 20 cows about 20,000, giving a total investment of 58,000. Well, compared with some dairy units, that's not much. That's milking 20 cows, producing 2,800 litres a year, not very much, but it is high-value milk at £1 a litre, giving, on 20 cows, £56,000 gross, running costs in the region of £18,000. I won't give you the details, they're rather boring, but there are inputs, but it is a low-input system, organic, pasture-based, a little bit of a hay or silage in the winter. The bottles and labels are quite expensive. But on 20 cows, there is a potential margin of £30,000 to provide a living and help pay back the capital investment. So I think it's a possibility. I wouldn't put it any stronger than that. Finally, I'll just share with you a SWOT analysis. You'll all be familiar with SWOT analysis. I don't know whether they use them anymore. Probably don't. I expect some American has dreamt up something that looks like a spider's web. It's far better. The strengths, a relatively low capital outlay, a low input system, and very importantly, control of the whole food chain. Not in the grip of the supermarkets, and a small acreage. The weaknesses, I see them as you're on your own, but that's farming, I suppose. A short shelf life product, so you've got to sell it, and a broad range of skills required, including marketing, which most of us farmers, particularly myself, I don't market anything, I sell it. Opportunities, an expanding market, both in terms of expanding population, but also an expansion in the public interest in local food, and possibly grant funding under what will be, I suppose, the new rural development programme for England. I don't think the details of that are out yet, but it seems to me that a micro dairy providing an opportunity for a young farmer or couple could well get RDP funding to help cover some of those capital costs, which would be enormously helpful. Although it's a pity that we're still looking for grant funding to keep agriculture profitable. And threats. Disease, obviously. Disease in cattle is always a threat. And for me in the West Country, TB is a real issue. I've been shut down with TB for several years. I'm clear now, but you're only clear till the next test. And in terms of marketing raw milk, that could be a problem, would be a problem. Second threat I see is a hygiene failure. You're producing a fresh product. If there is a hygiene failure, you have to dump it. You have nothing to sell. And the third threat, where I farm, is strangely drought. Drought is an occasional problem, and I think it's probably getting worse as the climate appears to be changing, becoming more extreme in every direction. So that's it, an opportunity for a young farmer or farming couple to set up their own business and be in total control of their business. So thank you.